All right, Jen, so a little bit of story behind this video. Had a good Monday, but then the week got bad. Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday. I mean, it seems like we didn't get anything done. We had stuff stuck in shipping. We weren't able to get things accomplished. I had people reach out to me on my team that were frustrated, overwhelmed. One guy in particular said, Antonio, we got to talk Monday because I felt like it was just a wasted week. I had all these goals and I wasn't able to get any of them done, and I'm really frustrated. And I know you've been in this. I mean, guys, the last couple of months have been like this for a lot of you guys, that you are working, you're progressively trying to make things happen, but you don't feel like you're getting anything done. You are overwhelmed. You don't even know where to start. So this video is my attempt to help the guy on my team, and also I'm thinking a lot of you guys could use this information because this is how I practically apply all the information I've read in tons of books over the last decades, my managerial experience, what I do to make sense when I am overwhelmed, when I feel like I've done tons of stuff but I haven't accomplished anything. So the first thing that I accept is that I suck sometimes when it comes to time management, when it comes to getting things done, that I have off and bad days. I'm not perfect. We are so hard on ourselves, and I'm really bad about this. I expect perfection. And the bad part is I'm really bad about expecting it from everyone, from my kids to my wife to the people on my team to even my friends sometimes. And I can be a driver. And it's one of those things that you have to realize people are not perfect. You are not perfect. And you accept that. That being said, you realize, okay, I can set up the path. So I learned about the elephant and the rider in a book I read about a decade ago that talked about basically how to get, I think it was Nudge, is the name of the book. And it talked about how you are this elephant, like your emotions, what you want to do, what's going on in life, and your mind is this little rider that's on top of the elephant trying to get it to go in a different direction. And you can imagine that little rider, if he's riding a wild elephant, that thing's not going to listen to the rider. It's just going to go wherever it wants. It's going to go for food. It's going to go, where it wants. Fear, it's going to drive it. And those same emotions drive us. But when you understand that you can actually train the elephant, you can set up a path so the elephant will follow that path. Not all the time, but most of the time. You realize that, hey, I can get a lot of wins even though my mind is that little rider on top of the big elephant. So that's what I do. I try to set up my workstation. I try to set up things in my life so that the path is going to be more towards productivity, more towards being able to identify what's important, being able to prioritize, being able to have things set so that I can get things done. One of the things I use right here is called momentum. Every time I open up a screen, I think there's a free version of it. I've got the paid version of it, but the free version still comes. I can basically put everything on my to-do list. And I kind of mix this one up with personal and business. I also like it's got the time, it's got a nice little quote here, but it's a nice way to open up versus the news. And that's what I used to have pop on here. The problem with the news is you immediately fall down that path and you don't want to. You want to be able to get things done. After that, I look across the top. I use my bookmarks across the top and I make sure the bookmarks I have here are all about work and productivity. So the first thing I've got, is my new company, Vitaman. We've been working on that. I like to visit it, check out the site, make sure everything's good there. We go in the back end to Shopify, see what kind of sales are coming up. Next up is my master organization sheet. So I used to have straight up to-do lists, and I know a lot of you guys have that as well. I started using sheets, just Google Sheets or whatever you want to use. And I find that organizing my thoughts there, my big overall goals and ambitions, I put it right there. Now, I don't have it open all the time, but it is right there and I can click on it very quickly. Then I have some other sheets which other people on my team manage. We've got our content management sheet, which is obviously publication, that kind of stuff. I've also got Influence Kit. This is where we keep more of the information of what we're going to publish at the Real Men Real Style channel on our website. Then I got AdThrive, Infusionsoft, all these other things which are important to the running of my company. Now, I also have my continued education tabs. So this is a reminder. I'm not always good about it, but it is something I constantly see that I need to be studying and learning more about YouTube, that I need to be studying and learning more about marketing, about business. And so I've got those going across the top. All of those there, they help set up this path for productivity. What you don't see is the news. And I've made sure to keep that kind of stuff, the stuff that distracts me, off of my workstation right here. The thing is, with goals, we know so much. We've read so many books. But there's a huge gap between what you know and then what you need to do. And one of the things that's really frustrating is whenever you set out to do things and you're not able to accomplish it. And I wanted to talk about here the distinction between action versus result goals. So an action goal is when you set a goal of something that you can control. So I'm going to go out and I'm going to run a mile. That's something that you can control, versus a result goal is where I say I want to lose 5 pounds. Now, they both seem like they're hand in hand, and you would think that if you run consistently, you could lose weight, lose that 5 pounds. But a problem here is so many people are always looking at the result goals, and they get disappointed when they're not able to accomplish, or they're not able to lose the weight. But here's the thing. What if actually you were lifting weights at the same time and you put on a lot of muscle? You didn't necessarily lose the weight, but you are in better shape. My point here is you can control the action goals a lot better than you can the result goals. So focus in and make sure when you're laying things out of what you want to accomplish on your to-do, your worksheet, you're focused on actions, not the results. This is a huge, once you make this shift and you realize that I need to go through and start putting together SMART goals that are based on action, not the end result, which I cannot fully control, all of a sudden you're going to start feeling a lot more accomplished. Because the best days are the days in which you go through and you look at everything you got done, you're like, wow, I accomplished that. So SMART goals, have you heard of these? So SMART goals are specific, they are measurable, they are achievable, they are relevant or realistic, and they are timely. So specific, you've got to be detailed. If you say, again, going out and running a mile, that's very specific, but I could even be more specific by stating the time, putting it into my calendar, and actually even having an accountability partner. All those things right there are going to make it so I'm very specific, it's measurable, again, the mile, it's achievable. It was a cross-country runner. I know I can accomplish a mile. Now, if I put 10 miles, I haven't ran that much in a long time, so it would still be doable. But, you know, is it going to be realistic? No, it's not. I just don't have time, and I'm not into long distances anymore. I know some of you guys say that's not long, but you know, for me nowadays it is. Now, is it going to be timely? You got to set a time limit, and that's why I do advise that you leverage your calendar. So let me pull up my calendar, talk a little bit about this. What I love about the calendar and putting things in here, and these are all meetings that I have with my team 4 days a week. I leave Fridays open, I leave my weekends open. That's time I try to spend with my family. But actually, I try to keep my meetings within a 2 to 3 hour window. Now, over here on Wednesdays, I'm meeting with a gentleman and we're going over YouTube, where I'm working to train to become better on this channel. But most of the other time, I've got a lot of overlapped meetings with the people on my team. And everyone on my team that I'm meeting with, we've got specific things that we're doing. Now, this is key because yes, they're on my team, but that's an accountability and it's not a super long meeting. I try to keep meetings nowadays to 15 minutes or less. If I can wrap up a meeting in 3 minutes, boom, huge win. I used to have a team meeting for an hour. We cut it down to 30 minutes, then we cut it down to 15 minutes. Now we just get done things in 10 minutes. So let's talk about priorities and prioritizing. This is another key point. If you take nothing else from this video, take this. You cannot accomplish everything that you want in the week. You cannot do everything, but what you can do is you can do one thing. Seriously. Do one thing and make sure it's the most important thing. When you prioritize what is truly important and you do that one thing, now again, break it out into micro goals, because that is, if that one thing, if you describe it, it's not a SMART goal and it's huge, it's going to take a month, you're going to be disappointed that day because you're going to make a very small amount of progress. But when you break those big goals into micro ones, to me, it needs to be well under an hour that you can get this accomplished. And let me share with you guys some of the things that I did today that made me actually feel really good. So I wanted to film a video to how to look younger. Done. I got to mark that off. I also wanted to film a thank you video, which I uploaded to the channel. Boom, done. I also wanted to promote the survey, which was actually part of the thank you video, but I just put it in there. It was an easy one. It took me 3 minutes. Boom, done. It feels good to mark through things. So make sure that you're taking those big goals, you're breaking them into all of those smaller parts, using the SMART goal terminology. Now, when it comes to priorities, you guys have heard me talk about the priority matrix. This is mine. This is how I've got it set up so I can go in there and add them. Now, I try never to put anything into the non-important but urgent or the non-urgent or non-important, but I put those there. I leave them there so that I can be reminded that most things, like people just randomly reaching out to me on email who I've never met before, who want to spend 30 minutes to an hour of my time telling me about an idea that has nothing to do with my company. Believe me, it happens all the time. That is down here. versus the incredibly important things that have to get done today, and then the incredibly important things that aren't urgent but will have to get done for my company to move forward. Then I've got my daily to-do list over here, which again I try to keep really relatively small. And again, it's better to accomplish one thing and to be specific than to try to lay out everything and not get anything done, because then you just get frustrated. Now, what if you're watching this video and you're like, Antonio, that's all nice, but here's the thing. It's the end of my workday. I haven't gotten jack done. I feel frustrated. I just am overwhelmed. How can this video help me? Again, focus in on the one thing. Can you set yourself up for tomorrow for success? That's something. Well, can you clean off your desk? Yes, simply take 5 minutes, or maybe some of you guys take 20 minutes and clean off that desk, wash it, create a nice workspace that you can show up to the next day. Can you go through and actually say, okay, I've got 20 things on my plate. Realistically, I will not be able to get 18 of these 20 completed. Okay, so cut off those other 18, move them into the next day, schedule them into your calendar. I love scheduling things, and focus in, okay, these 2 things I can still get done today. Or maybe that one thing. Again, one thing, break it into multiple parts and then focus in on that. Simply clearing the mind. And speaking of clearing the mind, if that's too much, simply go for a run. Go for a walk. Exercise. Because what you don't want to do is something stupid. You don't want to send off an email. You don't want to set, do something that you're going to regret. And speaking of setting yourself up for success, if you do this early, if you've got everything you need to get done by 2 p.m., can you actually take the rest of the day off? Why would you do this? Because guess what? You're going to feel refreshed, even better the next day, because you don't work till exhaustion. People that continuously try to get things done, they're proud to go from 6 a.m. to 6 p.m. to 10 p.m. Yeah, putting in a full 14, 16-hour workday. Here's the thing. You will burn out. The human body is not made to do this. Eventually, it'll catch up to you. So quitting when you're ahead, all of a sudden you have time to go play. You have time to go exercise, time to go do other things that you want to do so you can show up the next day refreshed and feeling better. Now, I know I probably forgot something, and I know that you've got an opinion. So I want to hear from you down in the comments. What did I miss? What would you have added to this video to make it better? And what video to watch next? How about my tips on how to be productive when working from home? How to get things done. I think I get 50 tips in this video. It's a long one, but I give you my best information so that you can be productive when you're working from the house.